This is Anne-Marie Leake, Vice President of Communications for ePayResources. Welcome to the Payment Space.
Welcome back to the Payment Space podcast to Crissy Terry and Amber Schweiger of ePayAdvisors.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Hi.
So we just published your episode about the hurdles of doing it yourself or DIY when it comes to audits and risk assessments, and why you should consider engaging with outside experts like ePayAdvisors for those tasks. Now, in that discussion, you both alluded to some new services that your team has been hard at work creating, and today we want to explore more about those. So tell us, what are the new services now available from ePayAdvisors?
Well, in 2024, ePayAdvisors rolled out audits for Mobile Deposit, Zelle, and FedNow.
We also created an instant payment risk assessment and a Regulation E disputes audit.
That's exciting. Why these particular services?
So although these services are not required, regulators do look for audits to ensure that policies and procedures are in place and operating.
Yeah, our goal was to develop payments-related audits. Obviously, Reg E is not a payment per se, but we also know that regulators have focused heavily on Reg E in the recent years, and we wanted to make sure we were able to provide a service to identify deficiencies for financial institutions.
That's wonderful. Obviously, there's a need for these services. What are you hearing from our members or maybe elsewhere in the industry?
So we've heard from our members that they don't have the proper resources to conduct these audits and risk assessments. These are very time-consuming services and can be quite daunting with limited staff who have tasks that need to be completed around them.
Yeah, we understand that our members appreciate the convenience of outsourcing audits and risk assessments because they really do want to be able to focus on their daily operations. I really think a lot of our members and our clients are in survival mode, right? They're just trying to survive the day. There's so many projects. Many of our clients are, juggling. And so when you combine the convenience of outsourcing to ePayAdvisors along with our knowledge and experience in the payments landscape, it provides that peace of mind that the financial institution has done its due diligence to ensure compliance with these payments.
Absolutely. Now, Crissy, you and I have been working on creating an infographic to give clients a general idea of the process and the timeline for our audit and risk assessment services. Can you all describe that process and timeline for our listeners?
Oh, sure, I can answer that. So similar to other audits and risk assessments, we provide a questionnaire that enables the financial institution to clearly communicate their environment to us, and we use this as our roadmap. We also have a kickoff call prior to the start date to discuss the expectations and process of the full engagement. We conduct testing for audits that include sample requests about 2 to 3 days prior to the start of the service, as this does require additional documentation from the financial institution. Now, for risk assessments, there's no actual testing, but a review of documentation is conducted to evaluate the institution's environment to identify their risks. And then on completion of the audit or risk assessment, there will be an exit meeting with a preliminary finding report provided for discussion prior to completing the final report. And then after the exit meeting, a final report is issued. And specifically in regards to ACH audits, financial institutions should retain this final report as proof of audit for 6 years per the NACHA operating rules.
And just to add to Amber's description of the flow, now that questionnaire she initially mentioned is sent out 6 weeks prior to the engagement start date so that our clients have enough time to gather the documentation requested. And then from the start date to finish, it's typically 2 to 3 weeks. There is a lot of engagement between us and the client to provide additional information as we go through the process of both the audits and the risk assessments. But we do try our best to make it as painless as possible.
Thank you. You anticipated my follow-up question about how long generally the whole process is from start to finish. So as a quick recap, what are all of the services that ePayAdvisors offers?
Okay, so there's quite a long list here. So we offer an ACH audit and risk assessment, a third-party sender ACH audit and risk assessment. And I do want to pause on this one and explain the importance. If you are an ODFI, an originating financial depository institute, if you have third-party senders, there is a requirement per the NACHA operating rules for the third-party senders to have an annual ACH audit completed, similar to the ODFI requirement to have one completed each year by December 31st. Now, the rules don't specify how often a risk assessment is required, but we do recommend, and the industry standard is every 12 to 18 months. It really just depends on the environment. But I wanted to stop and focus on the third-party sender ACH audit and risk assessment because last year we saw a pretty significant increase in requests from third-party senders who were contacted by their bank, their ODFI, saying, hey, NACHA's reached out to us and they're requesting this, please provide it. And the third-party sender, despite the requirement being in their agreement, their ACH origination agreement, didn't actually realize this was a requirement. And so I think it's really important for financial institutions to make sure that they're educating their third-party senders on this requirement. And then again, reaching out to ePayAdvisors if that's something that we can help assist that third party with. So moving on to our other services, we also have wire audits and risk assessments, a mobile deposit audit risk assessment, and a merchant remote deposit capture audit and risk assessment. So just to clarify the two, because sometimes there is some confusion in the industry, when I say a mobile deposit audit and risk assessment, it is just the mobile device, which can be used by both consumers and businesses, those non-consumers, where the merchant remote deposit capture audit and risk assessment really is a product that's focused on the non-consumer businesses who have the machines that can scan bulk checks. So a little bit different of each of those products, even though they're both remote deposit capture services. We also have the RTP audit, the FedNow audit, the Zelle audit, and instant payment risk assessments, and the Regulation E audit. And then finally, we also offer consulting services, which are completely customizable. We really look to see how we can help the industry and help our clients. So we've done everything from ACH program reviews to implementing an ACH origination program, instant payment readiness, a wire operations process review, a check process review. So really anything that you can think of that is payments related is something that we can customize from our consulting arm.
That's a very impressive list. And I just want to emphasize that point about customization. If someone's listening, they don't hear what they need in that list, all they have to do is ask, and you all will likely be able to come up with a solution, right?
Absolutely.
That is correct.
So if someone is interested in learning more or getting a proposal for specific services, what is their next step?
Anybody that needs more information or just wants to reach out to us can contact us at info@ePayAdvisors.com.
Well, that's easy. Thank you to the whole ePayAdvisors team for all you do to help our members stay compliant and reduce their risk. And thank you, Crissy and Amber, for joining us again today. And I look forward to our next episode together.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.